On tonight's homework, students are going to be practicing a skill we learned today in class about creating a common denominator. As you can see in most of these problems, there's already one unit that they can use to change the other fraction into. What we've learned so far is that to add fractions we need a common unit, so thirds plus thirds, 6 plus 6, fourths plus fourths. We can only add things that are the same. So when students get to these problems, you'll see that the denominators in this case are not the same. I have a 3 and a 6. So what the homework is asking students to do is to draw a tape diagram. A tape diagram are those simply the boxes where they cut them into equal parts, so that would be thirds, and then thirds you can cut into 6. So students would show 1/3 and 1/6. What then we want students to do is come up with a common denominator. So in this case, the math they would do is change 1/3 into some number of 6. They've practiced this skill earlier in the unit and also with this work. So they ask themselves, how do I get from 3 times something to 6? It's times 2. So if I did that in the denominator, I must do the same thing in the numerator, and I get 2/6. They can also see that visually by cutting the tape diagram into 6 equal parts. And now they can see that 2 of them are shaded. So students should now think of this as 2/6 plus 1/6. And that gives 3/6. So students are going to want to find the common denominator. They can do it either way with the image or the tape diagram, which is the visual I drew right here, or they can do it simply mathematically. So for here, they're going to want to change a half into a fourth. They're going to want to change here the fourth into an equivalent number of 8s, and then here the fourth into an equivalent number of 12s. Once they have that new fraction, they're going to do exactly what I did here, which is replace the fraction to the one that has that now common unit. I can add 6 and 6. Students are going to continue on this one to turn a half into 8ths, and here 5ths into 10ths. On the back, what students are asked to do here is to do the same work of conversion, but this time showing it with a number line. So for example, they show you one in A. I'm going to show you how to do B. You're going to want to do the mathematics up here if you can. Change 5th into 10ths. Again, how do I get from 5 to 10 using multiplication? It's using an equivalent fraction of 2 over 2, so the equivalence is 6/10. So this is going to become 6/10 and 7/10. Students can show that by first drawing the fifths. So they would do 0, 1 whole, and then 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. Tenths, though, remember, are going to be half that. So I did just a little bit different on the color so that you could see the difference. So this is going to be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and then of course 5/5. But the tenths are going to also be each of the blue lines and the equivalent to the fifth. So 1/10 here, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, oops, 9/10, 10/10. And what students can start to see is there are these equivalents here between the tenths and the fifths. So if we look back, students are going to continue to go on, and again, the number line is just a helpful way to see equivalents. They can always solve mathematically. They're going to want to change fourths into 12ths, fourths into 8ths in this problem, fourths into 8ths again, and then 5/3 into 6ths. So students are going to complete that.